How many people have invested directly in commercial real estate before? A couple hands. How many people have thought, wow, that would be pretty cool to actually invest directly in a commercial real estate project? That's great to see. So we're going to talk about how that is possible today. I think we can all agree that having a diversified portfolio is important, right? Whether you talk to your financial advisor or you do it yourself, having a diversified portfolio is critical. And when you look at alternatives and you look at the different types of alternative products, real estate is the largest one out there, which is great. The only problem is it's probably one of the more complex ones to actually invest in. Today you can invest in a REIT stock, but you're really buying a corporation that then actually invests in different real estate projects. You can invest in a non-traded REIT, which has usually very exorbitant fee structures for the investor, or you can decide, hey, let me go buy a whole property and manage this on my own, which is time and capital intensive. So there is a little hidden gem, and that's called direct investment in commercial real estate. It's a great idea. The only problem is the whole process is broken today. It's an offline process, it's inefficient, it's cumbersome, it's not transparent for the investor. They need to know the developer or operator in order to get into that project, and they usually have to invest at very high amounts, like $100,000, $250,000. The good news is, we believe that there is a better way to do this. Here at CrowdStreet, we can bring this online. We can make it more efficient, scalable, transparent, frictionless. All the information at the fingertips for the investor. And it's not only good for the investor, but the commercial real estate developers and operators, the sponsors, love the fact that they can do this, go direct to a retail investor in an efficient, scalable manner. So the good news, the world has changed. The regulatory environment changed to allow this to happen. You can now do general solicitation to accredited investors. Consumers are used to shopping and investing and online, and the technology platforms are there today. So how are we making this happen? There's really 3 steps to it. The first is you have to learn about the project. So you can see here on the left, there's nice images, there's videos, all the documents are there. The cap stack is clearly laid out so the investors know where they are, and all the financials are at their fingertips. When they're ready to invest, it's a simple 4-step process. They put their offer amount in, and on CrowdStreet, the minimum offer is $25,000, significantly less than what you do in the offline world. They submit their documents, they can do the verification, and the final funding is all done online. Finally, after the funding, the investors now get a nice investor room where they can track the performance of their investment over time. The sponsors, the developers, can update that information directly into our management portal, and it gets disseminated to all the investors in the deal. So for the sponsors, they love this. We've now provided a platform for them to bring their projects onto CrowdStreet, make them available to accredited investors across the country. There's 9 million accredited investors. And then we actually announced earlier this week our Sponsor Direct, which is a private label product for the sponsors to use on their websites with their own investors. We're based in Portland, Oregon. We're a team of 7 with expertise across internet, software, real estate, and private equity. We've been in business for over 2 years. We raised our seed round of capital last year, led by Greenvisor Capital in San Francisco and Seven Peaks Ventures. And the good news, with the platform being live for a year, we've had 8 projects with over $300 million in property value, participated in over close to $40 million in equity raises, and we were actually the first ones to crowdfund a ground-up development in the senior housing market. Thank you very much. And
all right,
come join CrowdStreet. Revolutionize investing in commercial real estate.
Thanks, Tor.
Thank you.
Tor, I'd love to invest in one of these companies, but I just did a quick search. There were 80 in a March 18th Huffington Post blog post. There were 80 real estate crowdfunding marketplaces. So how do you become one of those top 3? So I just don't know what to invest in.
So you're exactly right. It's a crowded market, no pun intended. Luckily, CrowdStreet is actually recognized as one of the top 5 platforms out there by many of the publications. We were one of the first to come to market. So it is a very kind of noisy space, if you will. We've taken the approach of picking the best quality sponsors out there. We focus solely on commercial. A lot of the other platforms in this space will do residential and commercial, which can get kind of confusing when you're dealing with a fix and flip. maybe on the residential side, versus really institutional quality commercial real estate. So we stayed very focused on what we're delivering, and the investors on our platform appreciate that because they know what CrowdStreet, the type of product we're going to bring onto the marketplace for them.
Do you offer both equity and debt offerings, or are you focused on one or two products?
So we're focused on the equity side. We have actually done a debt offering where it was a sliver of a mezzanine debt that EverWest was offering. And we found that the equity is a lot easier for the investors to understand. They like that kind of many times 8% pref, with participation upside. We got feedback on the debt that while it was a nice fixed income amount, there was no real upside for them. They really want to participate in some of that upside, especially if you're working with great sponsors.
Congratulations with this. When you introduce the customer to a particular deal, I'm just thinking a little bit about AngelList and the differences, but when I think of real estate, there's typically coupons or checks being cut on a monthly basis. Are you guys part of the process through the whole thing, or you just help with that introduction and then you kind of remove yourself from the process?
That's a good question, and this actually goes to the first question as well, is there's different models. The model that we're going by is we truly believe, and the sponsors we work with like to have that direct connection to the investor. So the investor, using our marketplace with all the transparency, is actually investing directly into the project itself. It's their documents, it's their PPM. The sponsors already have, because these are at a high quality, they've got an investor relations team. They're used to doing disbursements and checks and K1s. The good news is it's all done online with our investor room, so it actually helps them manage those investors a lot more efficiently. And what we heard from those sponsors when they used the marketplace, and then they looked at their offline process, maybe they had 100 investors in their own network. That's why they wanted to use our platform to actually manage their own investors from their own website.
What are your economics, and how many deals do you need your average investor to do in order for them to be profitable for you to cover the cost of going and getting the investor?
Yep. So the way the financials work is we actually charge the sponsors. It's a flat posting fee per project, and it varies depending on a single asset project versus a fund, because we actually list funds. Funds will last a lot longer on the platform than maybe in a single asset, which would be anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks. A fund could go for many months. We've got one right now that's performing incredibly well. And so we do charge that flat fee. We don't charge investors anything. Some other platforms chose to charge investors 1%. And again, we're not a wealth management company, so what gives us the right to charge an individual investor? We want to provide this access. And then our private label version is more of a SaaS subscription model, license model, based on the number of projects that they want to list on the platform on their website.
My assumption is that, it might be a wrong assumption, that I would say these kind of platforms might suffer from the adverse selection issue, where if institutional investors have to go to the retail channel to actually raise money, then those opportunities might not be the best ones.
Yes, there, as you can imagine, over the last year, a lot of developers and operators that have tried to come to crowdfunding, and we have a very intense selection process and screening process before anybody goes on to CrowdStreet. So we're very conscientious about the types of sponsors that we're bringing to the marketplace, if you will.
Is there a capital gap in the marketplace that you're filling? Like, how would you describe the segment of developer or sponsor dollars that you're sourcing that isn't well served by markets today?
Yeah, it's usually that last 10 to 15% of equity that the sponsors are looking for, and that they've traditionally gone to ultra high net worth investors offline. I like to say, for the amount of time it takes them to take a high net worth to dinner and schmooze them and get that $250,000 check, they can get posted and get access to thousands of accredited investors.
If you're doing SaaS and a marketplace, it seems to me like you have two different businesses. Mm-hmm. Do you think that will be the case? Will you still have that in 3 years?
Well, we're going to see how both work, but we started with the marketplace purposefully to demonstrate that this is possible, because many sponsors still were naysayers and saying, can I do this efficiently and scale? And so then that kind of helped to instigate the SaaS model. And they love the fact that the marketplace, we're evolving every day. And so they're getting the benefit of those features and functionality.
Thank you, Tor.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.